good afternoon, depending on where you are in the world. We are so excited to be back and seeing you all today. So welcome back. I was just telling Katie, I looked on my calendar and today was supposed to be the learning session. We were supposed to be with you in person. So we're sorry that we're not with you in person, but we just say welcome back. As I had up before, please type your name and organization in the chat box. If there's more than one person at a site, please go ahead and put the multiple names in. We are glad you're here, and we just have to take a moment and recognize that we are in a very different place in the world than we were when we were last with you in January. So I just hope all are well during this pandemic, and that whatever you have been doing, whether you've been on the front lines or working from home or whatever, I'm sure that all of our lives have been altered. So thank you for spending the time with us, and I trust that everyone is well. This is a new format we're going to try out, and it's called a pager, and it's just basically an agenda on steroids. So the pager stands for things. P is for purpose, and the purpose here is really to understand that post-analytic process for the viral load results. And the agenda, we're going to start with a quick icebreaker. We're going to jump right in and do some process mapping, and then we hope to end with this short little knowledge burst. Ground rules. If we had more time today, I would listen and you would tell me the ground rules, but hopefully you can find these something that you can agree with. All questions are welcome. We want to be respectful to each person. We do want to start and end on time. Katie has another meeting today, so we will be ending right at 8:30. Please keep your speakers on mute when you're not speaking. Full participation. We really want you to be present for this hour and a half. When you are speaking, especially those persons who will be sharing the process map, we'd love to see your face. You know, sometimes you can't keep your video on all the time, but we'd love to see you as you're talking to us. Patience, we may have challenges with our technology since we're meeting virtually, so we'll all be patient with each other. And you can raise your hand. You can physically raise your hand. There's a Zoom feature that you can raise a hand, or you can type a question in the chat box. We want to have this very interactive. We're all learning through the virtual world, but we certainly want it to be interactive today. The expectations, what do we expect after this meeting? That you will be able to use this process mapping going forward as part of your DMAIC problem-solving approach. This came to us initially as a problem. People aren't getting their results in the clinics. So we want to make this a way that you're going to use forever and ever as you address problems. And then roles, Katie's the host, I'll be the facilitator. The process mapping, we have some team members who are going to be front and center today telling us about their process. Our coaches are going to help us with the go and see part, and they're also going to be observers so they can replicate this. So that's a lot of action there, a lot of words, but so here's the icebreaker. I want you to type into your chat box, what is your go-to or favorite quality improvement tool? What tool do you use the most often? So everybody find that chat box, type in, and we'll look to see the answers. So type in for us, what is your go-to or your favorite or the one you use most often, the quality improvement tool. So if you can enter those into the chat box.
But Barbara, you want me to read it out loud as I see it?
Yeah, that'd be great.
Okay. I don't see any. Okay, great. Process mapping, process mapping, process mapping.
Ooh. Well, that's wonderful. That's wonderful. You have over 30 that we've learned already in LARC. So definitely have many to choose from.
But I like to hear more. Okay, another process mapping. I think
Okay.
it just took a while for them to think, okay, what are the tools first, right? And then which one is my favorite?
So we've given you over 30 tools. So definitely add some more in there if you other ones that you like to use as well.
5 whys.
Oh, good.
Another process mapping.
Ah.
Run chart. I love that. Yes.
Oh, you made Katie's
Yes.
day. Okay. Are they still coming in, or have we collected?
Another run chart.
Oh, awesome. Awesome. Okay. Well, we always hope to try to make this as interactive as possible, especially since we're virtual today. So we'll move ahead to introduce our team members. So I want us to be clear about who the people are that are describing their process. They're going to be our front and center participants today. So if you all could introduce yourselves, and so we can keep track of who we're talking to when we start mapping this process. So who do we have from the lab here? If you could just unmute yourself, introduce yourself, tell us who you are and what you do at the lab. So this would be the lab where the results are coming from. Who do we have from the lab?
Don't forget to unmute yourself if you are speaking.
So I see our facility online. I think I see, is that Edson? Who is coming from the lab where the results would be reported?
Are you talking about a specific facility or anybody
So
who's
this
the
is
lab?
what Fortunate told me. The lab guys from BRIDH will be on the call. So maybe I'll be more specific.
Okay. So you want someone from BRIDH's Liberty?
Hi, Liberty. How are you?
Hi, I'm okay, thanks. So maybe we can, I can be the lab, or you want me to get someone else? Because I'm at the lab right now.
You're at the lab right now. Well,
Yeah.
you can start, but we'd love to have someone there who actually, you know, releases the results. Someone
Okay.
who's actually the clerk. And then I think, is the writer also with you, Liberty?
Yes.
The writer is already here.
Okay, so maybe the writer can you flip on your camera quickly so we could see the writer?
Sure.
And can he or she introduce themselves?
Yeah. There you go.
Hi guys, I'm Godfrey Maguzi, BRTI writer.
Welcome, very nice to have you today. Liberty,
Nice to meet you.
we appreciate your participation as we understand the process. So thank you so much.
Okay.
So maybe I get another cadre, like a lab scientist.
A lab scientist would be good, and then the clerk. I think the clerks, you know, print them out and maybe put them in the pigeonholes. So.
Okay, no, it's fine. So let me just dash off to get 2 people.
Okay, great. So
Right.
we've met our writer. What about the folks at the facility? I see our team there. I recognize some familiar faces. So if you all can introduce yourself from the facility, tell us who you are and what you do there.
Back to the writer.
Hello.
Okay.
Sonia, go ahead at the facility. Yes, tell us who's there and what the roles are.
Hello, everyone.
Hello.
Okay, my name is Charity. I'm the viral load focal person. And with me here is Anderson. is our
Hi,
data clerk.
Anderson.
Hello, Anderson. Welcome.
Hello.
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 Hi.
How are you? I'm Linda Kanjoma. I assist in the viral load.
Linda, okay, Linda, what is your role there with the viral loads?
I document results and the PC at Epworth Polyclinic.
You document the results.
Yeah, exactly. And filing the results.
Okay, and your name?
Linda.
Linda Kanjoma.
Linda. Okay,
Yes.
fabulous. And Linda, are you a peer counselor, a volunteer? What is your
I'm
job?
a counselor, a PC.
A PC, yes. Primary counselor.
Counselor, okay. Sorry, I didn't pick up on the PC. Thank you, Linda, appreciate it. Okay, we have, who else do we have next?
I'm Sonia Chikanya from Epworth and the coach for Epworth and Overspill.
Our coach, yay!
Thank you.
How everyone? I'm Fanuel Chukurira, lab technician, Epworth Poly.
Manuel, good to see you.
So Sonia, so I see that a group of people is with you. Could you type in their names into the chat box?
Okay, thank you.
Thank you.
And who else do we have? Is that everyone at your site, Sonia?
We have Lennox, our DSIO for Zimtech. Lennox Ziwa,
And what does DSIO stand for?
or is our District Strategic Information Officer.
Linux, okay.
So he's an M&D officer.
Okay.
Okay. And do we have, so we have, all right, so perfect. We have Charity, Anderson, Fanuel, Linda, and Linux, and Sonia.
Yes.
Did we get everyone from your site?
The assistant judge is not available. She's attending a workshop.
Okay, okay, no problem,
Yes.
no problem. So that's all the folks that are there. Thank you so
Yes.
much. We're
Yeah.
experimenting today with this this virtual process, so we're excited to have you all online. Okay, and then is Liberty back with some folks from the lab?
Sure. So I've got Van Dyke. You can introduce yourself.
Okay, I'm Van Dyke Ndora. I'm the tech here at Paris level.
Then,
You're the what? I'm sorry, say that again. You're the what?
The tech that I interconnect.
The deck. Oh, okay, awesome.
Me, I'm Blessing Matimbe. I'm the medical laboratory scientist at Beatrice Infectious Disease Hospital.
Awesome, wonderful. So now we know who our key players are. I think we may have some more folks on the call who are observers or coaches. So welcome, we're glad everyone's here. So I'm going to stop sharing now and Katie's going to pull up her template. So we're just going to jump right in, start the process mapping, and then we will come back to, we'll just do a little short knowledge burst at the end. But so when I do my process mapping, I like to have my beginning point and my end point decided ahead of time. And then that way I know what the scope of my process mapping is going to be. Oh, you know what, Julie, I forgot. Can you introduce yourself and say hi to everyone? I see you there.
Yes, I'm Julie McKinney. I was there at the first learning session.
Second learning session.
Oh, second learning session. And sorry, it's like 4 o'clock in the morning here. And I don't know. introduce myself.
So good to see you, Julie. And then we have Japhet on the call. And yeah, I can look.
Hi, everyone.
Hello. So I see Aletta, Chiedza, Dembeza, Edson, Fajani, Fortunate, Gertrude, and Japhet. So welcome, everyone. Appreciate you being on the call today. So are we ready to jump in and do process mapping? So I like to put my beginning point and my end point before I start the process mapping. Now, sometimes we, like to look at the whole process. Today, we're focusing on the time, from the time the lab results are released from the viral load lab till the time they're recorded in the Green Book at the site. And the reason that this came to us was because we heard that the logs had been cleared and that all the backlog of viral load tests should be done, but we heard some of the sites didn't have the results yet. So we started doing some investigation. Seems as though maybe more of them do, but we'd really like to understand this part of the process. And we're looking for, we're looking to see and understand the process. We can't improve the process before we see and understand it. So Katie's typed in here, lab results released from viral load lab, and then viral load results recorded in Green Book. So we've got a beginning and an end.
So, but before we start, I just want to make sure release may be not very clear because it can mean very different things. So can the lab folks just maybe explain a little bit what is the starting point because it can mean that you release it to the clinic, or it can mean that your instrument spit out the results. So where should we start? It's not clear to me when we say released.
Okay, so we'll back to Liberty and the lab team from BRIDH. Tell us what happens when the results are released by the medical laboratory technologist.
So I'll let Blessing go ahead with the process.
Okay, so once the results are released from the machine, they are uploaded into the laboratory information system. Then from there, the results are verified and authorized. Then once they are verified and authorized, they are published, and then they are printed and they are sent to the clinics or hospitals where they came from.
So can I say lab result published by, because this implies that it has been verified, validated by the supervisors, and then you're just publishing that and publish this. Is what does it mean publish? Is this printed or is it email sent? What does that mean?
Yeah, they are sent copies in printed form.
So it's published and printed.
Yes.
Mm-hmm.
Okay.
From the LIS.
From printed by LIS.
So are all the results printed, or are any transmitted electronically?
So at present, all of the results are printed, and then the riders have to transport them to the clinics. But for Epworth Clinic, I think at some stage there was an electronic system, but so far it's something that is still in being processed to make sure that they also have an electronic. So let's say at most they are printed, then they are transported by riders.
Okay, so you printed, you have a deck of results for different labs, basically, right?
Yeah.
For different clinics.
Mm-hmm.
Okay, so after you have a whole bunch of paper results, what's next?
Well, let's talk to the deck, and I'm sorry I didn't get your name, but
Dick is Van Dyke.
Yeah, sure.
So, okay, what happens after they have published the results? What did you also, they also go through a verification process to see if the results really match with the ones from the system before we post them. So what we do basically is we dispatch them now, put them in their pigeon holes, waiting for the riders to collect the results.
And about how long would that process take? We're just getting estimates here, but from the time that the lab results would be published until they're printed and put in the pigeonhole, how long would that usually take?
That can take less than a day. Because the other thing is our system, what it does is it keeps some of the reports in the not published section, and then it posts them in pieces, so that we can only print a certain number of reports in a day. But the publishing and posting them, it takes less than a day.
So some of the results aren't printed every day. Is that what I'm hearing?
Yes, we print results every day.
But you said some are stored and not printed?
Yeah, in the system, because it doesn't post all the results at once.
Okay.
Yeah.
How do you know which ones have been printed and which ones haven't been printed?
There is I think there's a page where you have to click printed results, and then it shows you all the printed results. And then there's also on the dashboard, there's also not printed, not verified, and the ones that are still active, that have not been run. So on the dashboard explains everything in the limbs.
Your limbs dashboard. Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So is that a potential problem that the results would miss getting printed? Does that ever happen?
No, that hasn't happened, because all results that have, all patients or samples that have results, they are posted into the to be verified section, and then after verified, they are posted then into the published section. So they all go through those processes. So there is no way that a result cannot be printed.
And by verified, again, you mean that when the lab is you comparing what's in the limbs to what is printed?
Yes, we also do that verification process here, comparing the result from the machine and the ones that are entered by, because sometimes an individual has to upload the results manually.
Okay. All right.
Yeah.
So you cross-check that before you print. Okay.
Yeah.
And then you print, and then you put it in the pigeonhole.
Yes.
Okay. And then, so let's pivot to the writer now. And our writer is?
Godfrey McGreezy.
What is your name?
Before, can I just ask a quick question? Has the results been put into the wrong pigeonhole?
What we do when we're printing the results, we batch them. Like we don't print them all at once. We print results by each clinic. So there is no way that a result can be placed in the wrong pigeonhole, because they're all batched in.
Thank you.
So we hear that, but it'll be interesting to, I mean, we want to look for potential problems in this process too. So we want to look with those improvement glasses as we start looking at the process. You know, what could go wrong or what has gone wrong, or has anyone ever gotten the wrong results at their clinic? So that's something we'll want to understand. So does the same person print the results and place them in the pigeonhole? I think we lost them. I'm just wondering if those should be separate steps, Katie, if they're
Which printed and placed. Okay, I will.
you know what, just in case it's not.
No, but this is, well, the starting point is printing, right? is already printed. Now it's the results that got placed. So who placed results into the pigeonhole?
Well, printing is also a step, but however.
So you want printing its first step. I thought that was our starting point.
Well,
published and printed by LIS.
Okay. I just don't want to miss some potential issues that could occur in that process. So I think we.
Okay, then give me the first step then. I will put my first step into second.
Sorry, we are back.
We're back. Okay.
Sorry about that.
No worries. So we were asking, does the same person print the results and put them in the pigeonhole, or are there different people?
It's actually the same person who does it.
The same person. Okay.
Yes.
All right. And that person is that's your job as the deck?
Yes.
Okay. And when do you do that? What time of day do you do that?
Usually it's early in the morning, first thing in the morning, because the writers, they collect the reports, the results around before 9 a.m. So we have to make sure that all reports are in the pigeonhole before the writers collect them.
Okay. So, all right. Okay. So let's go on to the writer now. Sir,
sorry, Barbara.
Yeah.
Can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Oh, okay. So I just want to find out from the BRIDH team in terms of the timelines from the time they collect the printouts from the printer to the sorting of the results slip according to different facilities until when they are placed in the pigeonhole. How long does it take for them to beat the 9 a.m. deadline?
Oh, actually, what happens is that during the day right now, we are actually printing the results and also verifying them. So in the morning, it's just posting, not printing. They will print it the previous day. Like our writers, they collect the results in the morning only. So during the whole day, we'll be like printing the results, the reports, and also verifying.
Then also just to add on, usually there's not a lot of sorting because when you print the results, there are filters. Let's say I want to print results for Epworth Poly. So I filter using the name of the facility.
Mm-hmm. Okay.
So you would filter and sort and print only Epworth Poly, and then you would put them directly in the pigeonhole? I think we lost them for a second.
We have lost them.
Thank you, Jaffa, for jumping in. So how would you know, though, that everything from Epworth Poly was done to be able to sort to print? Because what if, you know, they're not always run in batches according to facility, are they?
I'm not sure. I don't know if anyone can assist us.
Yeah.
Hi, everyone. This is Nora. I can chip in
Yes,
until
thank you.
BRIDH comes back online. So what happens with the lab information system is that it assigns states to the samples as they move along the lab processes. So you can do a report which shows you which samples are still in received state, which means that it was just received, but no results it doesn't have results as yet. And then you also monitor your TATs based on that. And then you can also filter to see which samples have results, but they have not been verified. So they will appear as to be verified. So that will also tell you that you have some samples that are still pending. And what is pending is to verify those results. So somebody can then sit and verify the pending results. Once they've been verified, they will then appear pending for publishing to say this one has been verified, but the PDFing process hasn't been done yet. Initially, this was manual, but now it's now automated. Once the result has been verified or approved, it will then create the PDF report that goes to the facility. And then once those PDF reports are done, it will show you that this one has a report, but the report hasn't been printed. So basically we have to do, you have to filter to see if you have results that are pending testing, results that are pending verification of results or authorization. You can also search to see if you have results that have been authorized, but the reports haven't been created. And once reports have been created, you can also do a query to say, do I have reports that have been created, that are published, but have not been printed?
Okay, so lots of sorting. So let's go back to our deck at the lab. What what do you sort on?
Sorry?
What filter do you use to sort on?
The filter.
Yeah.
Like what my colleague was saying is on our dashboard, you can search for let's say for just F-word poly. So the sorting process is done in the limbs. So when you print, they are all in their batches, like in their correct clinics. So it's just you print a batch from F-word, and then you just post it to F-word. So the sorting is done. I think it's done in the limbs. You do it in the limbs.
Okay.
So if you have a pending sample that doesn't have a report, do you actually withhold the whole batch from, say, Epworth before you release? Because do you release the whole, or do you release the first 99 and then release the one that's pending later? What do you do?
What happens is you can only release the ones that have already been approved and the ones that have results. So
right, but you don't withhold the whole batch of sample from the same clinic.
No, the batch will be like only those with results.
Okay.
So the pending ones will remain in the system. Once they get the results, they can be published on another page, maybe with samples that came on a later date.
Okay.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So look on the screen, make sure we've got the steps right. So the viral results will be verified, printed, and batched. I'm not, so they're verified. The verification term is a little, I think the verification is really when the medical laboratory technologist releases it. It would be, and then you would.
Should I say release there instead of verified? No, but it's not by deck though. It's by different person when you say.
Yeah, so maybe we can call this step cross-checking or something like that. I don't know, but I think we'll get confused if we.
I think the starting point is actually lab results is validated by.
Yeah, I think that's where I'd like to start.
Validated by.
MLT.
By who? By supervisor?
Laboratory technologist.
Lab tech. Okay.
Okay. So anything else that we need to know about the verification or the printing? So I think Japhet asked, how long does it take? And you said, clarify for us, you print them in the afternoon and you put them you post them in the morning. What does that mean?
Okay, what happens is like during the day, we may have, like for example today, we may have 700 results from different clinics. So what we do is we'll be printing them all during the day. And then we'll be like putting them in envelopes or writing their clinics. And then in the morning, what we only do is placing them in the pigeonhole.
Okay, okay. So you print throughout the day. All right.
Yeah.
And then our writer, let's go to our writer. Thank you so much for taking the time this morning. So tell us what your process is, sir.
Okay. When the results are put in pigeons, maybe after 8:30, I'll go to my specimen and result transmitter log, that which I've collected maybe 2 days or 3 days ago. I will take that transmitter log sheet to match with those results published or posted on the Pigeonhole, so that I'll match it with them and clip them so that and send the results as I go to pick samples on that particular day.
So you have a list of that tells you the person's name whose blood was drawn, or you just have a list saying I picked up 70 samples from Epworth and I'm taking back 70?
Okay. Well, what I normally do is when I pick results from the pigeons, there will be really maybe 7 or 6 facilities that will be on the Pigeonhole. So I take my transmitter and result log sheet to match with those results published, posted on that particular day. That means I will be matching the date of results collected with the facility, then transport them back to the facility.
Okay, but your transmittal log doesn't have like Barbara McKinney, 1 sample, Katie Yao, 1 sample. Does your transmittal log have actual people's names on it?
Yes. They have got names. Maybe there are about 50 or 30 patients on that particular day. I'll pick those results matching with the transmitter log sheet.
Okay. Have you always had the transmittal log, or is this something new?
Yes, from the start of the program.
You've had the.
I was the one. Yes, I was the one doing that.
Okay.
Those transmitter log sheets, as I collect them from the facilities, I will be filing them.
Filing them where and when?
Yeah, in files. So that when results are out, I'll be taking those transmitter log sheets to measure the results published and then send them back.
Send them back to who?
To the facilities.
So you bring the transmitter log to the viral testing lab. You match the printed result against your logs, and then what's
the transmitter log specimen in the result transmitter log sheet? It will be located in all facilities.
Right.
So when I pick samples, the samples will be all of the samples that I've collected on a particular day will be written on transmitter log sheet. So I will take 2 sheets from the transmitter log book, going with the samples to the hubs. That's where I file those transmitter log sheets. So when results are out, I'll take that those transmitter log sheets with the matching with the date of collection of samples, going back the results so that they will be able to match as they receive their results from the hubs to the facilities. And the type of transmitter log sheet is like this one. Is it?
Okay, great. So 1 copy stays with the facility? Is there any copy?
There will be 2 copies. The ones that are detached will be two copies. When I return the results, 1 copy will return at I will leave it at the facility, and the other one I'll go back to the hub to show the evidence of results are transported.
Okay, so 1 is stays at the facility, 1's at the hub. Okay.
Yes.
And what if there's 1 result that's not there?
Yes, it will be indicated on the transmitter log sheet.
Okay. All right, so you pick up the results and you hop on your bike.
Yeah, on the carrier box.
Okay. and then you drive it to the lab. And so how long will it take you to get to Epworth Polyclinic?
Yeah, Epworth Poly is around 15 kilometers from BRDH.
Okay.
So
And what time do you
15
usually,
to 20.
what time do you usually deliver? Because I know you have like, maybe you have 6 stops or something. What time do you usually deliver the results to Epworth?
Around 11:30, that is Epworth Mission. Overspill around 10 minutes after, I'll be at Overspill. Then from there to Epworth Poly, it will be around 20 minutes later.
So maybe 11:30 to noon?
Yes, yes,
Yeah.
in the morning.
Okay. Okay. Well, thank you very much, lab team. Anything else we missed? Look on the screen and see if we've captured everything. I say we, it's Katie. Thank you, Katie.
So when you deliver the results to the clinics, do you pick up samples? I mean, so what happened when you arrive at the clinic? Where do you deliver the results to?
Good question. I think they're frozen again. Well, let's let the clinic jump in, and then if they come back on, we can talk with them. But let's move on to the clinic now. And so where do the lab results arrive when they arrive at your clinic? And who takes them first? And how does the transmittal sheet work?
To the clinic.
Okay, oh, we have the lab back. So,
We've changed, huh?
we're just asking where the results are delivered at Epworth Polyclinic, sir. Where do you take the results? Who do you give them to, or where do you drop them off when you go to Epworth Polyclinic?
Or do you just put it somewhere and go? And would the clinic know that the results have arrived?
Okay, if it is Epworth Poly, there are data clerks there in the lab. Okay. They are the ones who receive those transmittal and result log sheets. They will sign for the results that they received.
So did you say deck?
Yeah, it's up.
A data clerk in the lab, I think he said.
So that's deck, right?
Yeah.
A data clerk in the clinic's lab.
Mm-hmm.
Okay. Okay.
And sign off, right? Sign off.
So that takes us to our clinic, and who actually receives the results there at the clinic?
Mostly the sister in charge.
The sister in charge. Now, I thought you said you took it to the data clerk.
If it is a lab, the data clerks will receive those. Maybe at small facilities like clinics, they will receive through sister in charge.
Okay.
Or sister, sister in charge.
Just a deck. For Epworth Poly is just the deck who receives in the lab, is it?
Yeah.
No sister in charge involved.
Yeah, no.
Okay. Okay, great. So let's go to the clinic, and we have Fanuel on. So Fanuel, tell us what happens when the results arrive.
Yes, with the results, when we receive the results from the rider, we used to sign before we verified those results. But currently, we ask the rider to leave the transmitter form so that we verify all the results received before we sign those forms. Once we verified and recorded the results in our transmitter books, we give them to the OI focal person for them to file and act on the high viral loads.
Okay, so you said currently you don't sign the transmittal log?
Yeah, we don't sign on the same day usually because the writers bring in the results when time is a bit late. Like these days, we are closing early due to this COVID pandemic. So we ask them to leave the transmitter forms so that the next day we verified the results with the transmitter form, then we sign.
So the day after delivery.
So would the writer pick them up the next day then?
Yes.
Oh.
All right. So you get them in the lab and you put them in a transmittal book.
Yes.
You have that?
And we recorded the total number of results received. Then we send them to the OI focal person when they are separated with high viral load on their own page and the target not detected on their own page, so that they will try to act fast depending on the result of the client, the patient.
Okay, so who actually separates the results into high viral load and not detected?
We separate them in the lab and we send them to focal person, OI focal person when they are separated.
Okay. So is there any place in the lab, a book in the lab, where you write down everyone's name and their result? Or do you just separate the papers and take them to the OI focal person?
We just read the quantities of high viral load and the quantities of those less than 1,000 and the TND. We just read the quantities. After we have recorded the results in the transmitter books.
So you have a transmittal book in your lab that has everybody's viral load that's ever been done written down?
Yes.
Yes. Okay. And then you separate the papers and you take them to the OI focal person.
Yes.
So DEC, data clerk.
Well, Faniel is a lab technician. Do you have another person in your lab who does the data?
Yes, we do have a microscopist and we've got a scientist as well.
So do you have someone who actually takes care of the data entry, or is that you?
Yes.
You take care, you write down the data entry?
No, I am assisted by the microscopist. We've got a microscopist at our lab.
Okay. All right.
So look at my steps. I'm not very clear. So just see if I have captured everything accurately.
Yes, and that if you all could do that, that would be helpful. So data clerk in lab verifies results against transmittal form the day after they sign off. Then they separate out. I think he's saying that they write it in a book in the lab.
So it's not like physical separate paper, but I ID viral results and write ID and write viral in what book?
So I think there's a in between there. Go ahead.
We write the results in the transmitter books, because when we send the samples, we write them in the transmitter book.
So
we detail.
But what is that different from the transmittal form that goes back to the writer? Is that the same thing or different?
It's the same. We remain with the copy. The writer takes 2 copies and we remain with the 3rd copy.
Okay.
So I think what I'm trying to understand is there a big book sitting in your lab where you keep track of all the results in like the results from the lab, or is it just says this person's result went and this sample came back? I'm trying to understand, is there a big book in your lab where you write down all the lab results?
No, currently in the lab, we don't have a separate book. But in the viral load focal patient, there's a high viral load book where it all down all those high viral load results.
Okay. Okay. So I think it's just the transmittal logs then that you're dealing with. Okay. So there's no book. Sorry. All right. So then after the logs are done, you separate them out and you take them to the OI focal person. And that is going to be Charity, right? Charity, tell us what happens when you get the results.
Okay, so when you receive the results, we take them to the HID, where the deck is. The ones that that are suppressed, we take them to the HID, so that we can put the codes, and then we start to file them in the patient care booklet and documenting them. The high viral loads, we take them to our high viral load room, which we have identified. And they come to me as the focal open. And we also pull out the green, we also put the cohorts on the results. And we pull out the patient care booklets, document the results, flag the books, and then we start following up the patients with high viral loads.
Okay, so Barbara, please maybe paraphrase.
There's maybe a decision tree in there then. It seems like, and clarify, you take the low viral load, the not detected, target not detected, you take them to the deck and the deck files those. And then
No, we take them to the deck and to Linda. You remember Linda?
I remember.
They're the two, yes. So we take them to Linda and the deck so that they put the cohorts and then they file the results in the green books and then flag that this patient has got a valid result.
Okay, so the results come to you as the focal person.
And all the results?
Yes.
All the results come to you, but you just transport them onto Linda and the deck. Is that correct?
Yes, the ones that are suppressed, that's what those are the ones I transport to Linda. I forward them to Linda after we have documented how many we have received. But the high viral loads, I do not transport them to the deck and Linda. That's the ones that we keep in our high viral load room, management room. And then we pull out the patient care bullets, we flag them, and we start following up the patients.
Okay, Barbara, please help me.
So the decision, so they come to the focal person, that's good. Decision, if they're high viral load, they'll go to the HIV room to be immediately attended by Charity.
You know, so if the answer is yes, and I'm sorry, and then what's next?
So if the answer is yes, then the viral load focal person will enter them in the green book and begin follow-up. We'll clarify what that is.
So if it's high viral load, okay, and if it's no,
then it goes to the counselor and the deck.
Counselor. So if it is high viral load, it goes to the counselor. Is it?
No, if it's high viral load, it goes to the focal person, who is Charity. The counselor is Linda, so Linda is the counselor and the deck.
But not if you are suppressed, you don't go see a counselor, right?
No, the results. We're talking about those papers.
Okay, so counselor results delivered to primary counselor for filing.
Deck, and they get the cohort number and then they file.
So 2 people?
I think so.
So
again, we'll put this down. We'll make it pretty later, so I'm not worried about pretty.
Right, but for filing or recording, what does filing mean?
So yeah, what does filing mean, Charity?
Okay, so we received those printed results
the paper, the document. So we file it in the file, and then we document the result on the column for high viral load, which is in the patient care booklet.
Hang on, see, high viral load or regular?
Okay, all of the viral loads, we document them the same way in the patient care booklet.
It's just a different person.
But that's in different persons.
Okay, so Barbara, help me out to separate my switch. Is it yes or no tree? Which branch?
Okay, so for the yes tree, the viral load focal person records it in the green book. And
so if it's high viral load, then high viral load, so viral load focal person enter high viral load results into green book.
yes. And then she begins follow-up, which we haven't worked through.
Right, so but if it's no, then results are
Let's talk to Linda because she would be the person who would do this. So Linda, share with us, when you receive this stack of papers, what do you do at that point?
When I receive the viral load results, I first put some the codes on the results so that I'll be able to put them in the green books.
So results delivered to primary counselor who placed them into green book.
Well, she has to get the cohort number first.
Right. But do I need to capture that?
Yeah, just
add cohort number.
I think that has implications down the road, but okay. And then you work together with the deck to do the filing, is that correct?
Yes.
So you work together, or what you?
Or do you hand off?
Number, or how does that work?
After quoting the results, we have other staff to help.
Other staff to help.
Yeah, after lunch, usually.
Oh, the primary counselor would find the ID the cohort number, right? It's the primary counselor.
But you work with the deck also, is that correct?
Yes.
Okay.
So and deck. So the results somehow got delivered to primary counselor and deck, and then you would work together to identify the cohort number so you can file them.
Okay. So we're at 8 o'clock, just a little quick time check. So let's go back to, thank you so much to our counselor, Linda. And then let's go back to Charity. And Charity, what happens with the high viral load results? What kind of, you said you're entering into the book and then you start follow-up. So what follow-up would you do at that point?
Okay, so we start to do to follow up using the phone calls. We phone the clients to come to the facility, or if they do not have phone numbers, we use our CLFs to follow up at their homes so that they can come to clinic earlier than their review dates.
Okay.
And then for those whom you cannot get in touch with, we are flagging all the patient care booklets with high viral load. You put a red sticker or orange sticker on it. And then if the patient happens to come for viral load, they are picked from there and then we start to manage them.
Okay, awesome. Anything else from the team on the ground there, the coach, Sonia, anything else that you think we need to know about this process? We covered everything.
I just have a follow-up question. Oh, before after the coaches.
Okay, let me. After Charity receives the results, the PC takes them to the filing room where she uses the EPMS to find the cohorts. Since we said that there were no cohorts on the result slip, so the PC checks the results, the cohorts from the EPMS. Then she pulls out the green files and puts the results in the green files, but there'll be many she won't even do it alone. We usually or allocate some people to help in. And then at 2 o'clock, when the facility is no longer very busy, we invite everyone to come, everyone who is not busy, those departments which usually do not have clients by 2 o'clock, to come in the HID, they help in pulling those, documenting, the RIGNs, they document the viral load results, while the PCs who continue pulling the help in pulling the green files. And then we have to file back those green files. And for EAC sessions, we allocated a PC. Linda is the same person again, who does the EAC sessions. And then Cherit documents, and she's the one who switches and refers clients.
Okay. Okay.
Yes. Thank you.
Thank you so much. So I think we're going to wrap this up now, remembering that if we were there in person, we would actually go and walk through the process. We would see how well it was working, because 9 times out of 10, we think it's working this way, but when we actually go and follow and are actually able to look and see what's going on, we may find a stack of papers here that hasn't been filed yet, or we may find a bottleneck or an inefficiency or something that's not working well in the process. So Sonia, what I would ask you to do after we finish this session is to go and actually walk this process and look at an actual, sample that was sent out a week ago and see if it's in the Green Book. And that was really the first aim that we had, is to get those results in the Green Book so that, they're there for patient care. It's really all about patient care. So Katie, I'm going to, if you don't mind, I'm going to share quickly now.
Okay, let me new share. How do I get out? New share. How do I stop share? Okay, here.
Yeah, perfect. All right. So I'm going to jump in. So what we'll do now is just a really short didactic to kind of review what we did and how this process mapping works. So I just want to remind us, so the reason that this came up is we heard from one of our partners that the clinics weren't getting their lab results. So anytime you have a problem like that, it's a complex problem and it involves a lot of different people, always kind of start with this problem-solving approach. So once you identify a problem and you want to work on solving it, you ask that question, what are we trying to accomplish? And then you develop a metric, because again, we don't rely on good feelings, we rely on metrics. What is the turnaround time? So if we say we're trying to accomplish, getting the lab results in the Green Book, and then how will you know if it changes an improvement? Well, we could look at Green Books, right, and see if the results are actually there. We could also measure turnaround time. There's many things we should measure, and then we start asking ourselves, what change can I make that would make an improvement in this process? So we always come back to those 3 questions, and we always come back to this DMAIC. And we start with defining the problem. So what's our problem statement? Lab results are not getting to clinics. We'd make that our problem statement. We create an aim statement. We want to increase the number of lab results getting to clinic within a certain amount of time, a turnaround time. We've already set that aim for our lab partners. And then we'd say, what are we going to measure? And we'd measure currently, and then we'd measure in the future. So this is an approach that we could use to solve any of our problems that we're facing. Then we'd want to understand the root cause, and then we'd want to develop some changes, some interventions that we could put into place. We'd test them, we'd do some PDSAs, we'd come to the one that's really working well because we have evidence based on our metric, and then we put it on a run chart. So there's another improvement tool. And then we control it as we go along. So a reminder about process mapping, your workbook is a great place to look there. It's a picture of the sequence of steps in any process. And why do we do it? To improve a process, because we need to see and understand the process. I heard several things in there today that could be potential bottlenecks, or could be potential places where inefficiencies happen or errors occur, or things fall through the cracks, things that could be missed. So that is why we do this process map. And just a reminder how to get ready for this process mapping. For those of you who are coaches, this is a skill that you'll want to have. You're going to determine who touches the process, who are the stakeholders, who's involved. You're going to define the process. We said here's our beginning point, here's our end point. Lab result released from lab. We had to just understand that a little bit. Results in the green book. Those were our points that we were looking at in this process map. And then we were going to identify everyone who touched the process. We're going to invite a representative. We'd identify them in advance. Fortunate sent me a list of the people who we're going to have in their roles so we could talk to them and clarify that. And then we'd prepare our materials. Now, in the current world, we're doing this virtually. And so we'd want to, we could capture that virtually like you just saw Katie do. So I think that given that, you may be able to go forward and do that in the future. We'd also want to assign someone who's taking notes in addition, so we could fill in that process table. What happens and how long does it take and what forms are involved. So don't forget this, the process table. And I think that even the virtual way may be an easier way to do this, to really get focused on the people and to have everyone be able to share in. So we'll look for benefits, right, as we're dealing in this virtual way. So process table, have someone fill that in. And then just a reminder that we go and see, because everyone thinks here's the process, here's how it works. But when we actually go and see, that's the telling moment. That's when you find out what's really happening and not what you thought was happening. So we'll ask Sonia to do that, and we'll ask her to come back with any changes that need to be made to that process table. And that is step 4, we would want to update that. So I hope you see how useful the tool is. I hope you see that it can be even done virtually, and that you'll be able to use it. Here's an example of one that I did, and it's pretty simple. The squares are the steps, and then I put in red dots for opportunities. When I found that an opportunity, or that's another word for problem, right? I put in the red dots. And we were able to do this process map virtually. So the beginning step, the end step, and then here are the opportunities that were identified. So there's an example. And I just want to, I'm going to jump out of the slideshow to show you, and you saw Katie today as well, how you can actually be prepared and set up to do this virtually. You can have your squares, you can have your arrows, and have some decision boxes and some opportunity boxes. You could even start writing in what you think may happen ahead of time so you're prepared. But I hope you see how that you as coaches can do this. So that's a very quick little learning burst reminder. So I've got the next, 17 minutes that I would love to take any questions. So we really want this to be interactive. So we're going to take any questions that you may have now about the process, about process mapping. So please jump in with any questions. You can type it to the chat box. I think we went through it relatively quickly, but hopefully we've been able to put in some places that we think there might be potential.
So Barbara, perhaps you can share the story of Swaziland who had the same issue, and then maybe you can just tell them what kind of intervention they came up with.
Sure. So we sat down in a classroom and we went through this process mapping, and we came up with sort of the same thing that you said that happened. And so we said, well, let's go to the site and see. And so we did go to the site and see. And when we got to the site, we saw that the results had been received in the lab, and they actually had a book that they recorded all the lab results in there. But then when we went and looked at the charts and the green book, whatever you want to call it, when we looked at the patient file, there was no lab result in there. And so we started looking around, and we went to the counselor's office. And in the counselor's office, there were stacks and stacks and stacks of those lab results sitting there in the counselor's office that they hadn't had time to file. You heard Sonia saying how there are many and more than the PC could actually handle. And so it was, everyone said, and this is what caught my attention before, everyone said, we're not getting our lab results. The lab's turnaround time is too long. And so when we actually went and put our eyes on the process, we saw that they were there. They were in the clinic, but it was the filing step. And as it turned out, when we went through that process map, no one told us about the filing step. There was no person assigned to file. It was one of those kind of forgotten steps. So that's what we find out, that go and see is one of the most important parts of the actual process. And then just look at some charts when you get there. You know, look at some green books that should have results in them. You know, their result was done a month ago. Look in those green books and see if the result's actually there. See if what you say your process is doing is actually working and happening.
But what that facility decided to do to really track the results, you know, so they instituted like a chain of custody log, so that every place the results went through, there's a stop, right? And then people, whoever touched the result, will sign up. So they know exactly where the results are.
Yeah, that was one intervention, because if the OI nurse had seen them already, then she would sign the log. If the primary counselor, or in their case, it was an expert client who was filing them, then they would sign off. So that's one option that you...
Right, and they also did a 5S, so they cleaned up and organized their office. So it's very easy to see the pile of results there. And they also purchased they probably fashioned some kind of box and put that to designate, that's the box to receive all the high viral results. So a lot of things, ideas that don't take a lot of money.
That's true. They called it, it was one of their just do it's to put 2 separate boxes in their OI art nurses area, because they pile them on the desk or whatever, and it wouldn't be clear which ones were high viral load and which ones were target not detected. So again, collect some data. I don't know how you all did on your first aim of getting results in the green book. Perhaps, Sonia, do you know how the team did, what they reported out as their percentage of results they got in the green books for aim 1?
Yes, for M1 by end of February, the facility was at 73%. And then for coverage, we were at 61%. That is for end of May, end of April. No, end of March, we were at 61%. End of March, that is Q2.
Okay, okay. So correct me if I'm wrong, but I think our aim was 95% of the results in the book? Was that what our aim was? 95% of the results in the green book?
Yeah, yes. We are trying, yes, all the results that are coming, we are entering them in the green files. Unfortunately, there are some results which are not entering. One, those with no, whom we cannot find from the EPMS, and also those with some errors. And then, where were we?
So some challenges.
I'm sure we're at, I'll check, but last time when we checked the end of February, we're at 73%. By now, I'm sure we are at 95. I haven't checked the end of March.
You have a good feeling in your heart that you're at 95.
I want to see your run chart.
So I love good feelings in my heart. But Katie said, we love to see that run chart, and we like to see that data on an ongoing basis. So, and you described some issues that you came up with. So those are root causes. Those are causes of the problem that you maybe have to dig down a little bit and understand why that is happening, and then target your changes or your intervention. Working harder, I heard you say we're working hard. We get working hard, but try to get at the root cause. Understand the root cause of what's the problem is, and then work at that so you can work smarter. So we'd love to hear we'd love to see your run chart on the next visit, but definitely Katie will send out that process map, update that as you go along, and put in some red dots or some kind of signals as to where those issues are. Because it sounds like you have some, and you know, because you're not at your goal yet of getting them in the green book. Also, any questions or comments from the lab? Because a lot of times we say we didn't get lab results, and so we're looking to the lab. So I appreciate the lab weighing in today and giving us an update on how their processes work. Appreciate the writer being there and sharing with us how his process works, and the team. I think this actually worked pretty well virtually. Let us know what you think. For the coaches, do you think this is something that you may be able to do if you're not able to travel about as normal? Oh, I do have a question here. Sorry, I missed it. So let's say one result is missing on the initial transmittal send-off. When the result finally appears, do they look for the initial transmittal log again, or what? So I think that's probably a question for the site. So one result might be missing on the transmittal log. And then the result finally appears. Do you go back and get that initial transmittal log and sign off on that? Can someone help with that question?
Hi, Barbara.
Hello.
Hello, can you hear me?
Yes.
No, it's fine. Right. I was wanting to ask about BRIDH, the experience they have, like on that question that you were reading. I think I posted it, where we are saying probably the biker collected 50 samples from a certain clinic, but literally we know that from running samples, sometimes these results will not come out all at once. Probably there's 1, 2, or 3, or 4, 5. Now, when they go with the transmitter, they are saying that they record the results that are going. Let's say there are 40 out of 50, or maybe there are 5 or 6 waiting, or some that have failed. I'm wanting to know how will they deal with those remaining samples in terms of accountability on the transmitter now when they finally send it. That is my question. Then the other contribution that I wanted to make is I understand we are talking about the paper-based system, but I'm also thinking that we need to go electronic. Maybe it can also increase our turnaround time. You talked about the volumes of reports or results at a certain facility there. Sometimes they will be saying results are not yet there. And we also had the challenge, I think January, February, where viral load reagents throughout the country, they were a bit scarce, and then March around there, we started working, trying to clear the backlog. So they will have situations that they will always receive a bunch of results, and then to actually account for them or put them in the green book or even the filing system, sometimes it's a bit difficult for them to actually account for each and every result. So from where I am, we have devised maybe some improvement strategies whereby if we can work with the DEX, because we understand they have got electronic systems that can capture the electronic results as they are from our side of the lab, and then we can easily give them something that they can quickly check in their system, like if the DEX have got the results in the electronic means. Even if a patient comes, they did not have access to go to the individual paper-based results. But within the facility, they have got somewhere where they can go and quickly check for this patient whether the result is already there. If it's there, then they can attend to the patient at that particular time. And then they can focus on trying to work on the backlog on the reports, because there will always be a bunch, and sometimes to them now to actually record those percentages now, they always fall behind, because sometimes the lab will be saying, we are cleared here, but at the facility, at the end result, you see that they are also saying, we don't have this and that other particular result. That is my contribution.
So tell me where you're from. I'm sorry, I don't recognize TN Gano. Is this Samuel?
Yes, that's Samuel.
Okay, Samuel, you're faking me out with that name there.
So next time, please, when you come in, and please change your name so you can spell it out so we can recognize you, not just Tien Gano. Then we'll know who you are. Thank you.
So that's very helpful. I appreciate that. So the question is to the site, and then there's also a potential solution in there of a way to reconcile that you've actually gotten a result back. So perhaps we'll refer back to Sonia and the team there. What are you all doing if you're missing a result on that transmittal form, what's your process?
The lab people, they are listing the names of the clients who do not have the results, They check this from the transmitter register, and they communicate with the lab, BRIDH hospital lab. And then recently, only yesterday, we were discussing of just collecting this. Since we are only 15 kilometers apart, we take the transmitter register to BRIDH, and then we sit down with them and check all those clients who do not have results, and then we would write them in the transmitter or register, come back and enter the results in the green file.
Okay, so sounds like you have a process there. I think Samuel's also suggesting a way to perhaps make so you're constantly able to follow those up, because those are opportunities for the results to get lost and not followed up on. So, okay, well, thank you all so much. I think we're nearing the end of our time. We are talking about ways to go forward with LARC virtually for now, considering the situation with the pandemic. And we're looking at potential webinars, and so we're going to look at how we can move forward with LARC with these webinars. So we love your feedback as to how you think things went today. We love your feedback as things you can think we can do better. We love your feedback as topics that you would really like to learn more about or know more about, or how we can best support you as we move forward.
So can I request that, Japheth, could you help collect the feedback? Because with today at its height, we have 29 participants. That is unprecedented. So I'm so thrilled with this turnout, and I would love to hear your feedback on how this went, and anything we can do to improve it to be worth your time. So Japheth, could you please reach out to them through your WhatsApp group and collect some suggestions? Or even if you like it, I'd like to know. So that I think feedback would be good.
And so
Okay, noted, Katie, thank you.
Thank
I'll
you.
do that.
I think we're looking at going forward, perhaps having more of the case presentations, and then a little short learning, and continuing to try to move forward in a virtual way. So I think our plan is to meet again in a couple of weeks, and we're working in the background with the faculty to move things forward. Japheth, did you have any comments? I can't hear you.
Okay, can you hear me, guys?
Yes.
Okay, so thank you. We are working with BRTI in terms of availing data or airtime for facilities to participate in the upcoming webinars, and also, participating in IHI courses and WhatsApp platforms that they've been established for the facilities. So I think the good news from what was said previously is that the budget line was approved, and what is left is for us as ministry to finalize the communications with the facilities, and to ensure that issues around accountability are also put in place. We already have the documents, the SOPs that have been drafted, and they have been signed off. But I think what is left is to ensure that facilities are also on board in terms of availing their staff to participate in the upcoming webinars before we avail airtime and data bundles. But I'm sure come next week we have everything in place in terms of distribution of airtime and data for the facility teams. But I think from our previous meetings, we might be having some of these meetings fortnightly, but again, we'll have to reach out to the facilities, to the coaches, so that we reach a consensus in terms of the frequency and also the length of these calls, so that moving forward, we'll have these meetings, and we also plan accordingly. I think in short, that's the update that I have for facility. And allow me to also thank Team Epworth for allowing us to do the process mapping. I think we gave them a short notice, but they were more than happy to learn from their peers, from the lab, from the coaches, and so forth. So thank you for allowing us or giving this opportunity to learn from you guys or to do the process mapping. And also BRIDH, thank you also team for coming on board to make this exercise a success. And to all the coaches, I'm overwhelmed with your participation. I remember the last time we had this meeting, there were only 2 coaches on the call, but you have made my day. Thank you so much, guys. Over.
Well, thank you, Japheth. Made our day too. It's so good to see everyone again. As I mentioned at the beginning of the call, we should be having a learning session in Zimbabwe starting today. So very sad not to be able to do that. That was on my calendar this morning. Really looking forward to engaging going forward, seeing LARC going forward. Just a quick reminder to the coaches, if at all, we did ask you if at all possible to go ahead and review those PowerPoints from Learning Session 2 and start working on getting those beefed back up and so we can move forward. We really need to catch up from what we've worked on before and clean that up, and then we'll move forward. Katie, any parting words?
No, I just want to thank you all. We are so excited that you joined us. And just for your information, I mean, if there's anybody who missed this session, I'm going to post the link to YouTube so they can view this session. Yeah, I will send out an email once it's up there. Over.
So with that, I think I will sign off. I want to thank Julie and Katie for joining in this morning from the US side. I want to thank everyone, especially the BRTI team, the writer, the Epworth Polyclinic, the teams who are really supporting us. It's been a great time. We can do a virtual clapping for everyone, and thank you all. We appreciate it very much. Have a great rest of your day.
Thank you. Bye-bye.
Thank you so much, Tim.